Well, it's likely to happen, but it's highly unlikely to happen before there's an election. TikTok will almost certainly be put into a position of either selling, which I suspect they will not do, closing down, which is more likely, or protracting the entire affair by challenging the legislation all the way through to the Supreme Court, and if there is any justice, winning their case. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to another edition of My Takes on China. And to be honest, TikTok being banned in the USA is not the issue. The fact is, this is a ban on any current or future successful technology owned by a potential adversary. And let's not make any mistake about it. China, where the ownership of TikTok's parent company sits, is considered to be the major adversary now, for no other reasons than the fear that they could be. Mud in the water is being stirred up because the dreaded CCP could get its hands on the data collected by TikTok, and who knows what they could do with that. Probably the same as they do with the data they can collect from our use of digitally connected fridges, cars, cranes, toasters, mobile phones, computers, laptops, anything that's even connected, even though there's no evidence anywhere that they might. ByteDance has set up a separate company to comply with US laws. It houses all its data in the US under US corporate supervision. It employs international and not Chinese experts to run the company. And the CEO, who has, in America, the misfortune to be of Chinese origin, has testified under oath that he's not affiliated with, nor has he ever been a member of the Communist Party. He's testified under oath that he's never been asked to provide information to the Communist Party, and that, if asked, he would not comply. Let's be honest with ourselves here. This isn't about data protection. If it were, the US would need to completely isolate themselves from the rest of the world to protect theirs. Even Google and Meta, two of the largest data collection corporations in the world, have not faced the same scrutiny as TikTok. Meta was fined billions last year by the Irish government for a massive data breach because they transferred all their data to the US, where the protection laws, according to Irish government, were not strong enough. In the Cambridge Analytica court case, where Facebook data was used to sway the results of an election, two senior engineers admitted they don't even know where all the data is stored. Google is an even more interesting company. It has storage centers all over the world, including 3 in Asia, one of which is in Taiwan. They were also themselves charged but settled for almost $500 million in the USA, and they were fined millions in France for data protection breaches. ByteDance has received a fine over illegal medical advertising, but as far as can be ascertained in my research, has never been charged over any data breach. Obviously, the issues with TikTok are not about data protection. There are already laws to protect data. ByteDance and TikTok have complied with them, and they've responded to every request by the US government to satisfy their insecurities. What it is really about is far deeper than a national security issue. It's much more about a recognition, without an admission, that the very fabric of a United States society is in the process of being torn apart. The latest allegations to emerge prove this. The same allegation has been raised in the UK too. China, through Douyin, the Chinese version, is apparently pushing teenagers towards educational and cultural content, whereas TikTok is directing the British and American youth towards addictive content, designed to erode ambition and motivation. The truth is, Douyin in China has similar content. It has bad dancing, lip syncing, makeup, and other frivolous content, and those videos are pushed out to people who enjoy watching them. But it also has a huge number of viewers interested in maths, space exploration, scientific experiments, and they're promoted to viewers who enjoy watching them. It isn't a stereotype to say that Chinese kids are more interested in these kinds of topics. Take a look at any university program in the West, And they'll be filled with Asian kids getting bachelor degrees, master degrees, PhDs. Since long before TikTok and social media even existed, Chinese kids were filling those courses. The US government told us this in 2007. China then surpassed the United States as the world's largest producer of natural sciences and engineering doctoral degrees. By 2020, the number from China and India had eclipsed the USA. What's really taken place is not a Chinese plot to dumb down America. It's a stated fact that the US is dumbing itself down. The National Center for Educational Statistics reports this. There's been a decline in maths and reading, as well as an increase in students seeking medical health services. And while these problems have accelerated since the COVID pandemic, they were identified well before. And it seems TikTok's algorithms are merely responding to the needs of Americans in the same way they're responding to the needs of Chinese viewers by providing them exactly what they think they want to see. Putting education aside, the US has found itself in what Queensland University of Technology adjunct professor Warwick Powell calls an autoimmune deficiency. Its own policies are eating away at the health of its society and its systems. They want free speech over there. Therefore, they don't want legislation to protect their young people from the evils of it. They criticize China for censoring the internet, but then they criticize China's social media for not allowing the dumbing down of its own youth. The USA has a generation addicted to social media, but criticizes China for limiting the time that young people can spend on it. This is something MIT referred to as an escalating war on kids' screen time. What China has done is sensibly controlled and officially managed what kids can do online. What the US has done has created the conditions for the decline of its own society. And it would now like to point the blame at one country that's done the opposite. The US legislation to ban foreign ownership of social media, all, will probably succeed. And this is a bad thing. ByteDance, not the CPC, will need to make a decision to sell, fight through the legal system, or close down and stop operating in the USA. If ByteDance sells to a US corporation, it will not improve data security. It will not improve the quality of videos available to their young people. It will not turn around the decline in educational standards or reduce the amount of addiction. If ByteDance pulls out, their politicians will lose a lot more than the credibility that's already bubbling down the drain. They'll lose the votes of a great many young people. The US already has laws to protect data. It can create laws to improve what's online, and by doing so, would reverse a worrying societal decline. But that would, however, meet intense resistance from US social media operators. One must wonder whether the lawmakers themselves have been dumbed down to a point where common sense no longer prevails. Thanks once again for watching, and for the first time since starting out on my YouTube journey, I lost more followers in the last 24 hours than I gained. It seems I'm reaching the point where stagnation hits, whether that's because they want something different from me on YouTube, or it's the same for everyone else and it's not a specific challenge for people like me who are against the narrative. But please, check your subscription button. I have followers who tell me they need to subscribe every video they watch. And while you're doing that, don't forget to hit the like button. And please, don't be shy. I read all the comments, so if you have a legitimate question, put it in there. Who knows, you might even get a video made on that question. Thanks for that, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.